Dear colleagues, we continue our press briefings in Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and now we'll speak about presentation of the first volunteer mobile hospital project and providing medicine to medical staff in ATO area to save lives of our military men, and setting up the first mobile medical tent or camp. We'll speak about that to Hennadiy and Druzenko. Please, you're invited. The floor is yours. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. In fact, I am honored while my friends are preparing the first trainings on the test field sniper. I will invite you in the end of this presentation. I will speak about this initiative, and I will set the difference between this and other initiatives. Volunteers are working not only to provide food and clothing to our military men, but also to save their lives. In this story, there is a pre-story. On the 1st of December, and everybody remembers when we started our revolution, our changes, and a group of like-minded people through Facebook, knowing that it smells with once we set up a mobile medical groups, they worked on the day on the. This is we got together on Mikhailivsk, and then before clashes on the bank, and this is in the parliament, and on bank was 6-8. So the first wounded and the first bandages, the first stretches we used. So we were disorganized on the 1st of December. We worked as the first voluntary mobile medical groups, and we didn't have medical. It was not. We did not belong to the medical service and no organization. So these people took the first duties on themselves. When Maidan turned into the lone stage of opposition, and after dictators' laws were approved, and when the first victims and first dead, we continued our initiative. We saw that official medical service cannot handle working with so many wounded people. Then the council of a group. Well, there was one group which opened 2 underground hospitals, and one on Mezheritska Street, and the other it was a mono, and in the cellar of Czeslaw Bielinsko there is a bookstore, and also there is a club, Kiev's Science Club, and then through volunteers and those who helped Maidan, Mr. Filatov, for example, we were able to get very good equipment. And the story ended up with happily. One MP came to us in September. He told, I've heard so much about you. Maybe you will look at me because I still am coughing and I cannot treat it. When it was clear that the revolution is over, but on the same day there was the aggression of Russia started against Ukraine, and when it started annexation of Crimea, same people, Vlad Krychenko, the owner of our format, and me, myself, and the Council of Rights of Patients. We started to develop the project on test field sniper, and a part of those training was training how to save, how to provide first aid, and then it was clear at the time that to save a military man who's wounded and who's bleeding on the front line, that's the task number one during this war, which was called hybrid war. When we had better structured and bigger project to provide medical aid, and on test field sniper, we started training people who went to the front line, and the right sector was had a lot of trainings, and in the summer we received very sad statistics in the summer, and that statistic is blood is not water, it's value. During World War II, the number of wounded, of casual, and those who died, there was 5 to 1 in average. So every fifth wounded died in 80 area. We have twice worse relation, 3 to 1. It means that 30% of wounded don't survive, even more. It's an awful number because in the world, even during hybrid wars against terrorists, as a rule, usually 4 to 1, 5 to 1, those are the worst numbers. And we understand that official medicine and the medical service of Ministry of Defense was not able to handle the tasks. And in August and also September, we started our intervention. And we took as the basis measure that there was a serial, and it's not only a serial, but also this is a mobile army surgical hospital. So that is that scheme and developed in NATO, which allows us to achieve 97% of survival of wounded in the front. What makes it different? We have a gap. Volunteers provided with Celix with very good rubber bands and bandages, and the losses are not as high as we had. But stationed hospitals, fixed hospitals in Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, and Mariupol, they are so far away from the front line that link and that is the most dangerous. Because in medicine and field medicine, there is a so-called the rule of golden hour. During 1 hour, a wounded soldier should be delivered to the surgery room. There is a chance to save his life. Sometimes the wounds are deadly, and very often people die just because qualified medical aid isn't provided in time. Sometimes they die because they lose blood. And as I told you, this model, as experience shows, allows us to achieve 97%. We can save 97%. We have losses. We have more than 3 losses. So 3% and 30% of losses. That's a big difference. So what are main features of that mobile field hospital? It should be placed 50 kilometers from the front line for it not to be covered with the ground systems. We know the terrorists and regular Russian troops. For them, Red Cross, it was more like an aim, nothing else. So they can, so it should be developed during 30 minutes, and it is moved. The average speed 50 kilometers per hour. The power to provide assistance capacity is at 10 wounded, and they can. So first of all, there is evacuation from the battle line, and then we sort them, and then immediate surgery and preparation for evacuation to hospitals in the rear. The most important, the core in this hospital is a mobile surgery room, and it is equipped on the base of Ural, and it's ready to receive wounded and for surgery. How different is it for hospitals from Ministry of Defense? We don't need to install tents. It takes time, and people. This Ural comes truck. You open the door. There's lights and which kills microbes, and 3-5 minutes just to start surgery. This is from what we started and on what we are working, and we collected the first money for that among those people who trusted us, and who, because this is a volunteer, the project of volunteers, we hope that to receive assistance from Ukrainians and from our foreign friends. Here we have one of our supporters and the head of Assembly of Russian Tehiv. I use this chance to express gratitude for assistance to this project, but also we see that if we make a surgery, we should go on, we should continue. So we have an reanimation unit, and we don't need comments. You don't need to have comments about reanimation, and we should not, the certain unit, and we should decide where we send wounded, and the company of mobilization. There will be 10 evacuation teams. There will be sanitary, junior doctor, and therapeutic, ophthalmologist, and general doctor. And if we agree with the Ministry of Defense, I will have a company, or guarding company, and supporting company. Here you see the next slide. This is a picture from a real surgery, from a mobile surgery room, and but not our mobile room. And the next slide, as the two equipment, there should be a reanimation sorting module, and for special pumped constructions and installment, then it takes 5 minutes to pump them. So we are trying to find the best producer. Reanimation module is for 5, and chamber for 20, who expect evacuation. All equipment will be mobile. It was allowed. It will allow you to establish and to collect it back, to pack it back quickly. But there is the problem how to deliver the wounded from the hospital to the rear. We thought about Western jeeps that were tested, but then our laws is live, which can transportation from the field. And this is laws, and they were developed in Soviet times, and we are working to renovate some of them. This is a wonderful car, wonderful vehicle, which has very good. If you remember, memories from Ilovaisk, the colonel from medical service, and who called his Zuzha. He took many wounded. This is that Luaz, one of the very good models from the Soviet Union. Now we are working to reconstruct equipment, and we need several such vehicles, and some of them should be armored. Under conditions, when there is poisoned water, when there is no electric power, when we are shelled, when the infrastructure is shelled for a hospital, it's very important to be autonomous. And that's why there is an autonomous diesel power station which can generate the necessary amount of power. If everything works well, then we plan also to get our module that would make a drill and pump water autonomously. Also, there is a group of antiseptics, and they're collected. There must be disinfection solutions, one-time use materials, and etc. And we don't have doctors here. I'm also not a doctor. All the doctors are there. So you can read about approach to antiseptics, and that's the position we have a good situation, because before that the Council to Protect Patients, that was a hub through which they sent supplies to the front line. Now priority is a mobile hospital. Also, it's clear that when you have a surgery room, a reanimation room with medical instruments, a hospital and medicine, it's impossible. So we need blood replacement and painkillers and other specific preparations that are needed for field surgery. You'll ask, what happens if the war is over? It seems like we are on the way to that. We would like to hope and that even when the peace will be not only on paper but in reality, we know that the echo of war sounds for many years. The number of shells, explosive devices, and that awful ruin of infrastructure will require intervention of professional doctors to the area of the former military activities. This winter, when the weather gets worse and when frosts will come, rains will come, we'll see There will be a lot of infections and other illnesses. The advantage of this mobile hospital is not because it's military, it's mobile. It allows doctors from Kiev and from other big cities in a day to get at any point in Ukraine, and then to unveil a mobile hospital and to provide the assistance which is needed. And we hope that surgeons will be very important here. If we have such a constructor, if it's such we can invite infectologists, pediatricians, and we can come to those hotspots. We can provide operational assistance, and we can support that trend of work of volunteers, which has suppressed not only us but also all Europe. And accordingly, it's better to hear once and see once, and then it's better to see once and then hear 100 times. At 2 o'clock on Zhytomyrsky highway, there will be the first demonstration trainings of our volunteers hospital after Perhov. I invite everyone who can come just to see what is done by efforts of several volunteers and those who trusted, who helped them. And it's very important to deliver that message to a broader audience because we see how reforms don't work in our country, despite sincere efforts of the government, and the system has a fantastic resistance and self-protection. The ideology of not reforms but to replace with more efficient structures, it has future. It has an opportunity. If we can succeed with using this volunteers hospital not on the level of the NATO, but at least on the first level, and that will create competition to mobile hospitals of the Ministry of Defense, and that it will force them to keep up with our standards. And when we have not 1 to 3, but 1 to 10, but it's better. Like in NATO, 3% from 100% of wounded. Thank you for your attention, and I invite you to our training. Those who cannot get to it, we have all information on our website. Thank you. It's a unique project, and a month ago, the World Congress of Ukrainians brought a professor, American professor who was in NATO area and who made a study there on that medical support that is provided to our military, and his statistics meets yours, so that 30% of wounded could be saved if they receive the first aid, but there were no conditions for that. What you do is more than important. The first question is the cost of that wonder. The cost of that wonder, if to calculate the full set, like in NATO, it's about 80 million hryvnia to use the full set. That's the set Americans used when they wanted to run Afghanistan. But we need to, for a long road, we need to make the first step. So we set up a mobile surgery, and we equipped it, and we repaired. It costed 160,000 hryvnia to repair that truck, and thanks to our sponsors and others. Our budget was about 250,000, and it's only not only movable stock but also equipment. Then our success will depend on how you deliver this information to general audience and how this wonderful volunteer movement of solidarity between the business sector, professionals, how it continues. We believe that in Ukraine during the last year, impossible became possible in Ukraine. That's why such an ambitious project will start its work next month. There will be the first expeditions to ATO area, or maybe post at ATO. But also the next year, it will show that in some sense we can be on the same level like other countries when the state doesn't put obstacles, and business and professionals unite their efforts. how many operations, surgeries can be done. If we have three groups of surgeries according to what is planned, then 10 patients an hour, so they will work simultaneously. And we speak about average wounds. If there are serious wounds, that will take more time. More question. The last question: how to donate money to you? Again, you can go to our website, and there is information www.medbot.org.ua, and there are all the tools. There is an account in hryvnia in foreign currency, and you can donate online, and also there is, if you go to this, it is built that it doesn't matter where you are. On the left, there will be an opportunity to help. So I invite to get involved into our initiatives, and I ask journalists to write about, and those who can help with money or with some equipment to participate in this. Thank you very much for your presentation here, and I would like to thank the donors, and I hope that journalists will help also in this activity. Thank you.